Hey.
Hey, old friend.
I know. How are you?
Good. I can't see you yet. It still says connecting. Okay, there we
Okay. Good.
go. How are you?
Good. How are you doing? So
Good.
good
I'm actually in
to
the
see you.
house at my parents' house right now.
Oh,
So my
nice.
dad wanted me to tell you hello.
I was I was gonna tell you to tell Gio hi.
I'm like, Dad, stay upstairs. I'm talking to Rachel at 1:30.
I was wondering if he was gonna sneak in the
He's
background
like,
and
can I walk by? I'm like, no.
that's awesome. That's great. Are
Yeah.
you down here for some client work and I guess
Client
visit?
work, and my brother is expecting in May. So my sister-in-law's baby shower is Saturday. So just kind of a little bit of work and play.
Awesome. That's
Yeah.
great.
So we're very excited for the first baby.
Oh, oh yeah, that's awesome.
So
Yeah, thanks for wanting to do this. I'm excited that you wanted to hop on. For those, I saw, I think a couple people that I recognize. Some of the names I might not recognize the Instagram, but
yeah, I
uh,
see some.
I couldn't remember if we knew. I'm like, I think I knew Gianna before high school. I feel like I've known you forever.
So
So
I think you knew my cousins. Like we knew of each other just because you went to middle school with my
yeah,
cousin. But I think you and I became better friends in high school
okay, that's what I
through
was.
soccer and just, you know.
Yeah, that's great. So I was trying to remember. I'm like, I don't think she went to my middle school, but I'm gonna double check.
No. Those were my cousins.
So Gianna and I went to South River High School in Edgewater, Maryland. So we're both from the Annapolis, kind of Crofton, Gambrills area. And well, go ahead. I mean, if you want to go ahead and introduce yourself,
Yeah,
Gianna.
sure. My name's Gianna Nucci, and like
Mhm.
Rachel said, I'm originally from the Annapolis area of Maryland. Now I live in Jersey City, which is right outside of Manhattan. And I own a personal styling and shopping business called Gianna Nucci Style. And I will have my business 4 years this August. So currently in my fourth year of business. So, the main, I guess, idea of my business is to really help men and women get dressed with ease, overcome their wardrobe obstacles, and really just learn how to approach their wardrobes with ease and confidence every day.
Yeah, that's great. And so I am a positive psychology coach. I work with individuals looking to make a career change or want to start a business around something they're passionate about. And I kind of wanted to preface to what positive psychology is because sometimes people don't know. But positive psychology is essentially looking at people's strengths and looking at what people do naturally well. So I like the idea of kind of fusing those two things together. Something you're passionate about, interested in, and then you can use your strengths to build this work or career that you want. And so I wanted to have Gianna on because I've been kind of following her in in the background for years. That's awesome. Congrats on it being 4 years. That's great.
Thank you.
I know the first year or two can be kind of like a lot of work too, getting going. So I'm sure you're
Yeah.
feeling a lot better by now. But it's been really fun. I'm on Gianna's email list, so I get little bits and tips from her with style advice and wardrobe advice. And and then I know you have your background in fashion and design, and so
Yeah.
you're able to. I just wanted to bring Gianna on because it's been cool to watch you and your business evolve and grow over the years from kind of the background. And I think you're a great example of somebody who's been able to fuse, something you're really interested in. And then I know you've mentioned, you're really in some of your e-letters, like I love fashion, but then I also love helping people. So you've been able to kind of fuse both and make it into your own business. And I thought, having your story out there, having other people hear your story might inspire others. They might be able to learn from what you've learned over the years and might give them that little like
Definitely.
spark to get things going. So,
Yeah, and I think, I like what you said about, positive psychology and really tapping into your aptitude.
mhm.
Mine just happens to be able to, look at pieces of clothing and know how to put them together. Just like a chef can look at a bunch of random ingredients and be like, I know exactly what to make with
Yeah.
this. And, I might look at those same ingredients and be like, what? And, sometimes when I work with clients who just don't have the same aptitude as me, I'm like, wait, you don't know what to do with this white t-shirt? And like, to me, it's like, okay, but I have to understand like everyone has different strengths, and it's okay to, charge for those strengths, which I find, we'll get into that later, but a lot of people kind of have a hard time. Like, this comes so naturally to me. How can I actually charge people for this? But that's also something you have to get around. But I love that, because I think once you like tap into your aptitude and just realize everyone is so different with how they perceive things and their natural abilities and strengths, that, that's just a great thing to kind of keep in mind.
Yeah. So, I mean, we can kind of segue from that with like kind of what initially got you started with personal styling. Was this an interest, way back when you were a kid, or did it kind of evolve as you went to school?
No, I mean, you've known me for a very long time,
Yeah.
always into fashion, like wearing
Yes.
heels to high school. Like, it was like weird, but it's like from heels to like shin guards, like for
Yeah.
soccer
I was
practice.
like sweatpants to sweatpants.
But
That's style.
no, I honestly, like, I loved fashion since I was a little girl. Like, I would just stay in my basement and like dress my Barbies in different outfits. I was so excited to go to the toy store and like buy new outfits for my Barbies. I had my favorite pieces in my closet that I always wanted to wear. Like, I just always loved it. And I think it's because I was a really shy child, and fashion to me was just my way of expressing myself. And I didn't really realize that until I got into the business, but I kind of realize now like why I was so attached to like the things I wore and what I put on my Barbies. And that was just kind of my way of creative expression growing up. And from there I went to FIT, the fashion school in New York City. And so I just always just wanted to stay aligned with the fashion industry. And so, long story short, I was working for a big corporate retailer, and I was in the creative department, and a lot of stylists would come in and get hired and make a lot of money to just put outfits together for photo shoots that would be featured, the images would be featured in the catalog and on the website. And I was like, wow, this sounds like the dream job. To like get paid to put outfits together. And around that same time, and being from Maryland, it's just not really a career path you think about. And then when I went back to New York City, I just, saw people actually doing it. And then around the same time, I had a girlfriend say to me, why aren't you a stylist? Like, you should be a stylist. Like, I have a closet full of really nice clothes that I spend a lot of money on. I wear the same thing the same way all the time. I don't know how to put anything together. My clothes just sit there. Like, and I was just like, wow. So it just kind of happened at the same time. And I had this epiphany, like, I want to do this, but I want to do it for real women. Like, I don't want to work with creative directors, copywriters. Like, I was already doing that. And I was like, I really want to help like the everyday women feel confident in what they wear, and, take the stress out of getting dressed. Like, we as adults have enough things to worry about every day. Like, fighting with our closet shouldn't be one of them.
Right.
So I just started my business, and I was like, you know what? I'm going to be a stylist. This is exactly what I want to do. And it's the first thing that really hit me that I was like, this is me. Like, this is exactly what I want to do. And I've tried a lot of different things over the years. I'm never afraid to try anything. So, but this was something that I felt was like finally going to stick.
Yeah. That's great.
Yeah. So I just started my website. I started promoting it. I was doing it on the side while I was still at my full-time job. And then eventually I was able to leave my full-time job and just do this full-time. So very grateful for that.
Yes. I love that story. And I was going to ask, so what kind of makes this work so meaningful for you? So you have that fashion piece, and now you've created a business out of that interest. What kind of keeps it meaningful for you day to day?
As you mentioned earlier, I did get into this because I was like, oh, clothes, fun.
Yeah.
And once I started with real women, it became so much more than that.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I saw that this was so mentally and internally connected to how they felt about themselves and how confident they were. And, their wardrobes were really a reflection of how they were feeling about themselves. And it really turned into like a self-development type of business. Like, I honestly feel like I'm helping people not only present themselves physically in a new way, but also feel better and about themselves internally. So that's what just makes it so rewarding and just really what keeps me going. And it's honestly like the best feeling, like getting a message from someone who wore something I put together for them and they just like feel brand new and have like a different pep in their step. And
Right.
those are powerful. And, you know, it's just funny because sometimes I'm like, oh, this is so frivolous, or people make fun of me. They're like, oh, Gianna, like, you know, playing with clothes again. But it's true. And I've experienced it. And, you know, I've worked with so many clients by now and I see the impact. So,
Yeah, and I think, I mean, just from the little I know with clothing and fashion, but it just seems like you're right, like it is an expression of who you are. And not to mention, people are always transitioning in life. They
yeah,
might be 5 years feeling this way about themselves, and then they hit a point where they're like, I hate everything in my closet. What is going on? And it's sort of almost a way to express like who you are, it seems, day to day. And people, I think I remember reading that in one of your things. It's like people don't realize that they might not like their closet because it's not a representation of who they are anymore. So you're talking
exactly.
about that self-development piece. How can you help people kind of go through that process with this creative expression with clothing and make it easy?
And I mean, take you, for example, just
Mhm.
starting your business. And like, I'm sure that you are thinking about new ways how to present yourself, you know, so people take you seriously and like, no, I'm a business owner now and this is what
Yeah.
I'm doing. Like, you know, you're not in your college t-shirts and sweatpants, like, you know what I mean?
Yes.
And
Yes.
I experience these things myself too. Like I just went through a big shift, just kind of looking at my closet after, you know, 2020 and be like, I don't even want to wear these things anymore. Like I just feel like I'm a different person. So how can I dress for the new person that I feel like I am? So I can relate to clients because I'm a human too. I experience the same things that they do.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I think that, and I definitely have gone through those transformations myself with moving or,
Hmm.
career shifts. You kind of feel it. And then it's almost like you look in your closet or look at what you're wearing. And I'm like, I used to love this shirt and it just
Yeah.
doesn't feel like me anymore. And I don't know why, but I like that you have that personal development piece in there. Um, so just piggybacking on that, why has it been, you're talking about, oh, I could work for this company, I could work for copywriters, creative directors. Why has it been so important for you to create your own business within the fashion industry?
I love flexibility. I like kind of marching to the beat of my own drum. You know, both my parents are entrepreneurs, so I never really had the office DNA in me.
Yeah.
But no, I just kind of like creating something that I can own and just
Mhm.
work in my own way and have complete control over my own success.
Right. Yeah.
So,
Great. Yes. And so one of the things that comes up a lot with people I've worked with, or just people when I'm talking to them, they have this idea and then they're not sure if they want to pull the trigger or try it. And a lot of it, I think, comes around like confidence. So what's helped you with, keeping that confidence up while you're pursuing your goals?
I think going back to the people that I've impacted,
Hmm.
just remembering like what I'm doing actually helps people. And like I said, I laugh at that because people are like, oh, please, it's clothes. And I'm like, no, it's not. It's more than that.
Yeah.
And every time, and I feel I get insecure all the time. Like making yourself visible is probably
Yeah.
one of the hardest parts of entrepreneurship. But you have to do it,
Hmm.
right? So you can, you know, huddle up and feel safe, or you can put yourself out there and just open yourself up to new opportunities. And I think just getting past that fact and just remember that what you do is a service to others. Therefore, if you don't put yourself out there, someone might be missing out on something that they need.
Right.
And I think also another thing that I tell myself is you have to think about how many messages people see a day. They're not going to remember my little marketing story about like my new like my style course I'm launching and promoting. Like, oh my gosh, Gianna's so annoying. No, they're going to tap to like other stories and just like not even think about it.
Yeah.
Like you're thinking about it all the time, but in reality, people see thousands, like tens of thousands of messages a day. I forget the number, but so get over yourself almost. Like stop overthinking about yourself and how you look to others because in reality, they're not really thinking about you that much.
Yes. Yes.
And,
Very.
it's really hard to put yourself out there and always, try new things and, market your services and kind of be your own brand. But you have to do it, and you just have to realize that what you're doing is helping people and is a service to others. So that's kind of what, the clients that I've impacted and worked with, I just think back on that, and that's what really keeps me going.
Right. So it's kind of that piece of why you do it, the
Yeah.
results that you're giving people, and then sort of brushing aside the fear of judgment from others because, like you said, in reality, people aren't really paying that much.
No, like that's why I say get over yourself. Like don't take yourself so serious, like too seriously. Like
Yes. Yes, exactly. Especially when you're first starting out. I think that's when things can be, your legs are kind of shaky and you're not, getting that, like that visibility piece is definitely huge. I think,
yeah,
putting yourself out there, getting visible, because that's where all that fear of judgment or worrying about what others are going to think. But, yeah, just reminding yourself that it's not actually like something that people are thinking about all the time. We're thinking about it more than, or you're thinking about it more than, anybody else. So
exactly.
I
And
think that's a good
I
thing.
see so much wasted talent because they won't put themselves out there. They won't just get started. They just can't.
Mm-hmm.
That's fine. And like, everyone's different, but it's a shame to see, but it's hard. I mean, it's definitely easier said than done, right? And but yeah, you just have to do it. And I heard someone say if you impact at least one person through what you do, then your job is done.
Yeah.
So that's like another thing to keep in mind. Like some people will laugh at you, some people won't support you, but you can either concentrate on that or you can concentrate on those that do,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like if you when you send out an email, you can concentrate on the 2 unsubscribers or the 100 people that actually opened it and linked and engaged with it. Like what are you going to focus on? So
Yeah.
it's just
So,
kind of being a little bit headstrong and not taking yourself too seriously.
yeah. So speaking of confidence, do you have, or maybe you don't as much now since you're kind of in year 4, but did you have recurring, or have you had recurring fears that come up? And if so, what's kind of your strategy with working around them?
Yeah, all the time. Yeah.
Okay, they're still happening.
Yeah, it's funny. It's like I was in this networking thing last week, and they're talking about how you're never really going to arrive,
Hmm.
right? You're always waiting for this big moment to feel like "Ah, I've arrived, I've made it," but
Hmm.
it's never really there. Like as an entrepreneur, like I think you're always just gonna be working and striving and trying new things, and that's the fun of it. But I mean, I think for me, it's definitely fear of money. I don't have a consistent paycheck coming in every single month or every, biweekly. So I think money is always, it's kind of a stress factor here and there. Am I going to get new clients next month? Like this month was so great, but will the next month's kind of follow suit?
Right.
There's always things that you're going to worry about. Do I even want to do the service in my business anymore? Is this service better? Should I pay for marketing? Should I not? I mean, there's like a million questions that go on. But I think so. Since starting my own business, I've really gotten into like mindset and meditation work. So every morning I do a routine that I try to stick to. I do a meditation, I do a prayer. I read a book called Jesus Calling. Because I have a spiritual side. And just that kind of is my rudder of the day. And I really
Hmm.
try to stick to that to just start my day positive and just kind of keep that going throughout the day. And that's been really, really important for me. And I notice that when I'm in that flow of just staying positive, doing my meditations, keeping my mindset strong, good things actually do start to happen. And I do see a difference between my energy. And I just really recommend, whether it's meditation or not, just finding something for yourself each day that'll keep you uplifted is really important.
Yeah, I love that advice. I think that because especially, those fears can really, really get loud and then it's going to start to affect how you're approaching your work. So are you approaching it from a place of scarcity or a
Yep.
place being more open-minded and like this positive and this is going to work? So yeah, that's great. I love the routine
And,
advice.
learn how to challenge those fears.
Hmm.
Instead of thinking like being worried about money, just start coming from a place of gratitude. I'm thankful for the opportunities coming for me. I'm thankful for the money I'm going to make next month. instead of sitting there making stuff up in your head that hasn't even happened yet. Like, take it day by day, live in the present, and stop creating chaos because it's not there. You're creating it.
Yeah. Totally. We've all been there.
But it's a challenge every day. It's a, it's like a physical workout. You really do have to work on keeping yourself centered.
Right, right. And then, so when you talk about, the mindset piece, so that's something that you're working on individually. And then if you think about what kind of support has helped you build your business. So it's obviously you have your routines, you have your, meditation, mindfulness work that you're doing for yourself, your spiritual work. And then what other support have you found that's really helped you kind of continue and stay kind of afloat in that process?
Definitely friends and family. I mean, I think you have to connect with others, and whether that's friends or family, kind of supporting what you're doing, giving you constructive criticism, like, hey, that email is kind of weird, or, I think this service is better, or your pricing would be better at this. And, just being open to criticism from others in a positive way. And, even just small messages from clients or someone random from high school who messaged me like, I love what you're doing. Like, you've been so fun to watch. Like, that just completely just makes my day. And like things like that will keep me going and make me feel supportive and make me feel like, okay, someone is actually like listening to you out there. Like, you're not just walking into a black hole, because sometimes it can feel like that.
Yeah.
And also it's good to connect with other people in the industry. I connect with other personal stylists around, the States, and it's more people that are on a similar path as you is really important. Just to know, I feel like the entrepreneurial journey can feel a little bit lonely sometimes, and that's a little bit hard to define to other people. Like, you can't really explain why it feels like that, but it is. So, connecting with other entrepreneurs is also a great way to realize that you're not alone, and everyone does experience the same type of like struggles as you.
Right. Yeah. So having that community with friends and family and community within the industry.
Yeah, definitely.
Great.
We're having a great mentor.
I want to go back to that strengths piece, because this is a big part of what I love, like, working with and talking about. So when you were talking about, how you're able to show up and, what are the strengths that you feel like you're really bringing to your business? Because I think those are the things that really, when you talk, I love you talked about there's not an end goal. And so a lot of it is you really need to be enjoying the process, right? You need to be enjoying day to day, the creative, trying different things, having that creative expression, maybe trying an offer and then it doesn't work and you're like, all right, I'll try a different one. But I think strengths is a big part of what could make, your, like, what you're offering unique, especially when we're in this, I think, especially in the online industry. I know a lot of people have shifted online this past year. It can feel like there's so many other people out there, so many other stylists. So
yeah, I think, are you kind of asking me like my strengths and actually like what I do like with the aesthetic styling part, or just kind of like what I think my like personal aptitudes?
Yeah, whichever you feel like, that's been most helpful for you. Can be either or.
I think you have to be somewhat fearless. Like, going back to saying like I've tried a lot of things before my styling business. I mean, I pull building permits in Washington, D.C. for commercial contractors just because I like needed to make money. Like, I'm always willing to try something new and, explore different opportunities or get new ideas and test them out. And I feel like just kind of being fearless and tenacious and just not being, just be open. Don't be so narrow-minded, because you never know like what can happen or what this opportunity will lead to, or this person that you met, what they can offer you, or vice versa. So just being really open-minded and not so rigid in your expectations. My business has transformed entirely since I started it 4 years ago, and I'm still learning a lot and trying new things. And I think that, eventually that will lead to exactly how I envision my business. Because right now I'm like, well, I have a lot of things going on. I don't exactly know what Gianna Nucci style is going to look like in 5 years, but you know what? I'm going to take it day by day and figure it out.
Mm-hmm.
So kind of managing expectations, being open-minded, being fearless, and, not being afraid to try new things. And if they fail, great. If they succeed, great. You learn something from it, and that's what's important.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, as far as strengths with like styling, it's just like one of those things I can't really explain. Like I just see it differently than other people. And, like I was telling you, like some people don't know what to do with a white t-shirt or a black bootie. And to me, I'm like, I could do this a million different ways. Like, you know what I mean? But that's just something that I just get. But I'm not great at cooking. Like you can't give me 10 ingredients and I just throw it together a meal with it. Like that's not my forte. So it's just so different.
Yeah.
I do think it stems from your childhood and things that you were attracted to and enjoyed doing when you were younger, and just kind of turning that into something these days. And there's no limits. I mean, I belong to a business networking group, and people do everything under the sun in that group. Yeah. I mean, they do like dog psychiatry and like, I don't know, it's just like crazy, but they make money doing it.
No.
So I think it's just don't tell yourself it can't be done because it can.
Right. I think in one group I saw someone had a business around camel training. And I was like,
yeah.
What? Who needs their camel trained?
I know.
So, you're right. It's like there are no limits. And I like what you said earlier when we first were talking, how, and this is something I've talked about before, people don't realize that their strengths are things that are, they come so easy. They're like, how could I possibly do this for work? It's too easy, or it's too, you can't explain it. It's natural. It just comes naturally to you. And I think that where people need to pull those things apart and say, okay, how can I monetize this skill? Because it's coming so easily to me. I can just, you're energized after, it's not at the end of the day, if you're doing that thing, you feel like, oh, I'm so tired. I got to lay on the couch. Can't even do anything else. It's, whereas if you were trying to be cooking all day with all those ingredients, who knows what you'd feel like at the end of the day.
I don't know if my boyfriend's on here, but he knows I'm not a kitchen woman. Yeah, I think too, like reversing that a little bit is not feeling guilty about monetizing what you're good at. Which is kind of a struggle. Like, well, if I'm like this, if I'm just good at this, maybe I should just help people for free. But you have to like consider yourself first, and maybe sometimes put yourself first as well. Because if you don't take care of yourself, how do you expect to take care of others?
Right.
And so I think a lot of people kind of feel guilty around that part as well, as like monetizing like their strengths. Mm-hmm. But that's what I said. Going back to I'm helping people, like having that mindset shift instead of I'm charging people. No, I'm helping people. I'm valuable. It's just a transaction.
Right. Yeah. Value exchange.
Yep. So I'm actually reading a book right now, speaking of tapping into your strengths, called Think Like a Monk.
Cool.
By a guy named Jay Shetty. And he talks about dharma, like finding your dharma. And your dharma is a combination of what you like to do, what you're good at, and what's in service to others. Because you can be good at something and not really like doing it, and you also, and vice versa. So just finding those three, it's like the trifecta of what you're really here to do is what you're good at, what you enjoy doing, and what actually is in service to others. So for people who maybe are struggling to find exactly what their strength is, which is perfectly okay, just kind of think about those three elements.
Yeah. And I think that's a great point, because then it's when you think about going through your first year, second year, especially if you're transitioning into something like you did with styling, and how do you sustain, all those obstacles that come up, coming back to that, your dharma or the reason why you're doing this, that'll kind of keep you going, I think.
Yeah.
Sort of more of a long-term vision with what you're doing, rather than if some hiccup comes up and you're like, okay, I can't do this anymore. It's, I suck at this. So
yeah. I mean, I've had that, like, oh my God, I posted and no one bought this. Like, oh, I give up. Like, that's how it works. That's what I'm about being like tenacious and being, you know, just being persistent and not giving up. If it's something you really believe in, then you believe in it for a reason. But yeah, like exactly what you said, like going back to your why is always important to kind of get yourself reset when you do start to face insecurities and obstacles and feel like just throwing it in the towel and hiding. That's easy to do. And trust me, I want to do that a lot. I'm in the middle of launching my style course right now, and it's the third time I'm launching it. And I always, like, when I'm doing it, I'm like, oh, like, I'm like, I'm sending out too many emails. People are probably annoyed with my Instagram stories. Like, if they hear about the wardrobe restyle one more time, oh, you have to do it, you know? And it doesn't get any easier the more you do it. It's just something you're always just going to have to overcome.
Right.
So.
Yeah. I like to tell people it's almost like a muscle, you know, you're just kind of continue doing your bicep curls and it'll get a little bit easier, but it's still not going to be, you know, no work. So
no, yeah. And we're human and it's natural to feel those things. But like I said, don't take yourself too seriously.
Yeah.
People aren't that into you. Okay. They're tapping away and forgetting about your little marketing message.
Yeah. Sorry to deflate your ego, but so when you talk, well, if you could go back to yourself when you first were like, wow, I could make money being a stylist, you know, or if you were talking to somebody else who kind of had that same revelation, what would you say to them to just get started if they might be sort of hesitant or scared to take the leap?
I mean, just get started. So one of those, a mentor that I like to follow says action brings clarity. So if you just sit there and think and think and think, what are you really going to accomplish? You're just going to drive yourself insane. If you actually start doing things, you realize, okay, this works. Or, you know, you start your branding and you're like, oh, I thought I would like these colors for my brand, but I hate them. Like they don't feel like me. So I'm going to change the color palette, or I like this font. Just get started. You know, and don't be afraid to do it. Like, just tell people what you're doing. I mean, the worst answer you can get is no. Yeah. Right. So if you start something and maybe no one bites at first, or, I mean, what's the worst, or what's going to happen to you? You're just going to get more clarity. Okay, well, maybe I need to change my messaging, or maybe I need to change that. But if you sit there and try to figure it all out before even doing anything, you're not going to get anywhere. Besides maybe like closer to like, you know, losing your mind. But yeah, I just start, even if it's just building your website or coming up with like your brand name, or maybe, you know, doing a poll on Instagram. Hey, who would actually be interested in this type of service? Yeah. You know, just start putting the feelers out there. And like, once you do that, it'll kind of open up a path for you to follow, and that which you'll have to adjust along the way. But, you know, just think action brings clarity.
Right. Yeah. I do like that, because you can get kind of stuck in that thinking phase, and then, you know, some people, it's a year or two goes by and they're still just thinking about their idea. And you're right, you never know how your business is going to evolve. And I think I remember your business name was different from when you first started, so it's, you know, now it's something different, and you know, this is the transformation I'm going through, and I wouldn't have known that had I not just started. I needed to just get started with a name. I needed to, I needed to just keep moving forward. And so,
oh my God, my company, when I first started, I was trying to be way too cute. It was called Blender Style, because I was like, let's mix it up. It was like this, and I'm like, no one's getting this. Like, this is going over everyone's head. It was like pink branding. I'm trying to like promote myself to like corporate women. I have like this hot pink branding with like bubbly font. I'm like, something's not connecting. And I mean, I've had that branding for 2 years, and I was like, okay, time to rebrand, time to switch it up.
Right.
And so it's just, that's fine. You don't have to beat yourself up over adjustments either. Like, it's going to happen, you know? But that's what I said, just get out there and start doing it. And then you'll get the answers that you're trying to figure out yourself.
Right. Yeah, I agree. Great. So what are some, you mentioned your wardrobe style. So what are some of the projects you're working on now, or you're excited about with some of your clients?
So last year I launched my first online style course, which I was really excited about, and worked really hard on. And what it is, I just really want to be able to reach and work with more women. And, you know, kind of reach those women that don't have a huge budget to do my signature service with me in person, and just make personal styling like accessible to everybody.
Yeah.
And so I launched that, and that's actually open for enrollment right now for spring 2021. And I also launched an online monthly membership community as well, which is more of a month-to-month membership program.
Cool.
So the wardrobe restyle is my more intense course. It's like a 6-week program. It takes more into like a deep dive of, uncovering your wardrobe issues and tackling them. And it gives you the exact 6 steps that you need to take in order to really transform your personal style and feel confident again. And then my Style Social is my monthly membership. And that's just kind of more ongoing style inspo. We have a monthly event every month, and just kind of, for those people that just kind of want the ongoing inspiration and style advice.
Right. So when you talked about the program you're launching right now, so making it more accessible to anybody. So it's, can be women who may not necessarily be like super interested in styling, but they're interested enough where they need help.
Well, I have to dress every day, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So
yes.
Yeah, it's really approachable. Like one thing, one of the best feedback I've got from members are this is just so approachable. It's practical, it's realistic. You're not telling me to wear stilettos to the grocery store. Like, so that's what people like. They're like, this is just great for what I need every single day. Whether you're a mommy taking your kids to the park, or, you have to dress up a little bit for a board meeting. Like, it's really just applicable to majority of lifestyles. And I think it's most women can kind of relate and, get a lot of great takeaways from what they learn in it.
Right. Yeah. So, just helping people like continue to figure out how to express themselves. And I like that there's, that theme of clothing sort of being able to tap into your authentic self and being able to express that, and then in different contexts. So maybe you are going to feel and dress one way at work, or, I mean, right now everyone's at home, but even in your home office, I think, I do try to make an effort to get dressed and, do something, because I feel like such a shift in my mood if I do.
Yeah, exactly. And, it's funny because my first module in the wardrobe restyle is improve your style mindset. And it really talks about like the limiting beliefs and why you are in the position you are with how you're dressing or how you feel about your wardrobe. And that's members like one of their favorite modules is that part. And they're like, I just learned something about myself I had no idea about. Like that was just like, wow. And that just sets the stage for the remaining modules, but it's just kind of like getting that shift going. And people, like I said, most people look at style and what they wear is like frivolous. Like, why do I need to think like whatever? It's just clothes. Right. But it's so much more than that. And this first module really kind of blows that out of the water and really gets you more internal about why you're presenting yourself a certain way or not presenting yourself how you want. And I just thought that was so interesting that module really was like everyone's favorite. Like, it wasn't the styling part. It wasn't the shopping. It was like, wow.
And I think, with people who maybe aren't, super into the fashion industry, hearing the word styling can probably be intimidating. It's the same. I've heard people talk about plants. They're like, I can't take care of houseplants. I have no idea how. I'm like, well, you haven't even tried.
Yeah. And I like to dub myself like the practical personal stylist, because I'm like, no, I'm not gonna like throw you in like a $5,000 blazer. I'm like, you're done. Yay, you look great.
Yeah, so I love that. The psychology piece behind.
Definitely. And that's something I learned along the way. When I first started my business, I didn't know that. Mm-hmm. I kind of knew it about myself, but when I started really working with, women and even men, now I started working with men 2 years ago, and even they have a lot of, mental limitations about how they feel about their bodies and how they're dressing. And that was really interesting for me to, discover.
Right. So when you talk about the people you work with, what's kind of the biggest hurdle or like problem that they're coming to you with, or that you're seeing people needing help solving?
I think people are a little bit out of touch with what their personal style actually is. Mm-hmm. They haven't really done the work to discover, like, I know what I don't like, but what do I actually like? Mm-hmm. Right? So that's a big thing. And just, you know, I work with like a lot of working moms and young professionals. So sometimes it just comes to the time. Like I don't have the time in the morning to think about putting together a new outfit that I haven't tried before. Or, you know, I just don't like, I think just having a third party view and perspective on the things that you own really helps.
Great.
You know, like I love going into someone's closet and taking a sweater and showing them how to like style it 3 different ways. And they're like, wow, I would have never even thought I could wear that sweater in those type of ways. And now it feels like they have something new without doing the shopping.
Right.
You know, so I think people just, they lack the time and space to get creative with what they're wearing. They're disconnected from what they actually want to wear. And they also just need the practical balance of having a wardrobe that supports their lifestyle.
Right.
You know, like how am I actually living my life? Like, do I need 20 pairs of heels if I'm running kids at the playground 5 days a week?
Yeah.
You know, so the kind of connecting, having your wardrobe support how you're actually living your life.
Right. Yeah. And then you go back to that transformation piece of what, you know, or transition piece of people. I know for myself, you know, when I moved back from living on an island, I was like, I think it's time to buy some high heels.
Maybe jeans.
And I threw away a lot of stuff because I'm like, this is not, I don't feel like this is me right now. So I think it would be helpful to have somebody sort of guiding you through that process, especially if you don't know what you're doing or you're like, why am I frustrated? Or how can I make this easier for myself every day?
Yeah, exactly. And that's what it is. It's just like, we have enough going on. Like, why do you want to fight with your wardrobe every day? Just like figure it out. And like, I can help you figure that out in a practical way. And, yeah, and I think a lot of people beat themselves up over, you know, admitting that they are changing. Like, put on a couple pounds, or I don't know why I don't like this anymore. And I have this thing where I call it style intuition, where you put something on and it just feels like, ugh, like this is just not me. Ew, like get this off. And then you put something on and you're like, oh yeah, like, woo, where am I going tonight? And it's just like style intuition. Like you have a vibe.
Yeah.
Kind of tapping into that vibe, and people don't think to do that work because it's style, it's fashion. I have other things to worry about. I feel guilty for even like caring. But it is a form of self-care, like I said earlier. And, you know, when you care for yourself, you can serve others better.
Right. It's a form of self-care. And I think that expression piece, you know, how are you feeling that day? And then, you know, maybe that's one way of being able to express yourself. And, you know, and like you said, in more professional settings, how do I want to, you know, show who I am in this context? And it's not going to be wearing like one thing that maybe I would go out wearing. It'd be a totally different outfit, but you still want to feel good and you still want to feel connected to who you are.
Exactly. Yeah.
Cool. Well, if anybody wants to get in touch with you, or, you know, can they sign up for your newsletter, or you
Absolutely. So my website's just giannanucci.com. Feel free to connect with me on Instagram, and yeah, I'm here.
Thank you so much. This was fun. I was excited to hear about your journey, and I know we haven't seen each other in a bit from any South River reunions, so
I know.
Maybe once all of this blows over, we will.
Definitely. I look forward to that.
Yeah. So thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Rachel.
Okay. Tell your family hi.
I will. Bye.